Hi, I'm Valerie,
And I'm Taylor.
and welcome to
Whimsy Gossip,
We Talk All Things Fantasy.
and our favorite ways to escape reality.
Today's episode.
Today's episode, we are taking it back to our first ever episode of Whimsy Gossip, and we are discussing why we love Rhysand, but we don't hate Tamlin.
This is a deep dive on our friend Tam Tam.
On our friend Tam Tam. So in the last year since we released our first ever episode, which we wanted it to be a bit of a I guess like a splash immediately, kind of like an attention grabber on why we don't hate Tamlin. Um, because it was kind of a polarizing topic back then. And I feel like right now it's even more polarizing. A year later, looking into it, we've had the chance to go back and listen to that episode over. And mind you, that's when we first started. The audio is garbage. The
Trash.
audio is
Straight trash.
horrible. My microphone, non existent. So here we are a year later, coming back. What we've learned, what we've noticed in in the community, like different theories and different points people have
Finishing the
made.
whole mass verse.
Finishing the whole mass verse. Exactly. Here we are a year later, coming back to discuss why we love Rhysand, but we don't hate Tamlin.
For all of those who are watching, you'll notice that I have the lovely Tamlin here in the studio with us today.
I can't with you, Valerie. I literally cannot with her. She is like, she
Sitting in
was
his
so
lap right
excited.
now.
She was so excited. You have no idea. Like if this made Valerie's whole entire podcast episode. I can see the full version on the big screen um versus like what's recording right here. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's hilarious. Anyway,
Yeah.
um
He's here, so if we need to ask him any questions,
we're there
he's
right
he's
here.
he's on the
Anyway,
podcast today.
so we
um
just want to start out real quick and just
yeah,
say we as Valerie and I both married women, happily married. Valerie's expecting a baby soon. Um we don't condone abuse. That's not what this episode is all about. This episode is about people having redemption stories and understanding why and trauma. And as someone who's taken so many psychology classes throughout college, and I just think it's just an episode letting you know that if you ever find yourself a Tamlin in someone else's story, we're also rooting for your redemption story. So
absolutely.
that is
And
all. Just a
yeah,
disclaimer. We're not supporting abuse. We understand this man has very abusive tendencies. But hear me out. He has trauma. He needs therapy. Putting it out there right now. Perithian doesn't have therapy. And if they did, he would highly benefit from it. And I feel like he'd be a much better partner to
yeah. I think
whoever. But
that, also it's all about perspective. And so
mm-hmm.
this is Tamlin's perspective episode. Basically we're diving deep into his mind, his thought process, his history, basically from his point of view throughout the entire series, what was going on with him, vice Feyre, which is the point of view that we got in all throughout ACOTAR. We got one singular point of view from somebody who also had a lot of trauma that they were dealing with, and mental health issues that they were dealing with, and just so many other things. And we got to see firsthand how she was handling things. Meanwhile, all we got to see was from her perspective, Tamlin, but we didn't really get to see it from his eyes. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're going to dive into today, is through Tamlin's eyes. And yes,
Because we
absolutely.
love a dual point of view.
Coming from somebody who I have abuse in my background, in my family, and I'm very strong advocate for female empowerment and getting out of abusive relationships. A lot of people close to me have been in really abusive relationships. So if you are in one of those, this is not an episode saying to stay by any means. But if you've ever been a Tamlin, like Taylor said, and you have screwed up and you were lost, this is kind of a hopeful redemption episode. You can get better, you can do better, you can be better. So
And
You can have
Valerie
your
and I will
happily
be
ever after.
cheering you on in your corner. We want to see you get better. And we want to see you be
Yeah.
the best version of yourself. That's all this is.
Yes,
So
and
before
we
we get any
recognize that
crazy hate,
we do not want Tamlin and Feyre to be together. That is also not this
no,
episode. Disclaimer,
no,
we do
no,
not want
no,
them to
no,
be
no, no,
together.
no, no, no.
We think that Feyre is happy out with Rhysand. We are totally cool with that story. We love chapter 54. We think that they're mates, obviously. And,
We
we
are Team
totally.
Rhysand. Till the day I die, I am Team Rhysand.
Yes, this is not a Jacob Edwards
Yes.
scenario. This
No.
is completely recognizing that, Tamlin has his own journey and they were not meant to be together.
Yep.
And that's fine. But that doesn't
Totally
mean that
fine.
he doesn't now deserve to find his happily ever
Love.
after too.
Yeah. So this again, this episode is just I guess like a fun little deep dive on Tamlin's backstory, a little
Yeah.
why he probably is the way he is, why he did the things he did. So anyway, without further ado,
Let's
we're
get
gonna
into
jump on into the episode.
this.
So Valerie, do you want to give us the lowdown on Mr. Tamlin, High Lord
Uh-huh.
of the Spring Court?
Okay, so yeah, we'll just get some basics down here for a second. And by the way, a lot of this information is like on Tamlin's Wikipedia, which I am very, very certain got rewritten in the last year because it is honestly so like transparent and like it really drives home his perspective and like some of the verbiage in here I was blown away that somebody wrote this positively about Tamlin. I was shocked. Like they literally gave him his perspective and I loved it, so we're definitely going to dive into that as well. So
Okay.
just for everyone to know that, like, that was a big source of this episode for me, is like it lets us kind of go along his track and talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. But some of the basics about Tamlin is he is the youngest of uh three sons. So he has two older brothers. He is 507 years old at the start of the series. And for context, Rhysand is 535 years old. So he
Mm,
has about, almost 30 years on Tamlin, which is kind of interesting. Not a whole lot in the grand scheme of 500 years, but it is, a decent amount of years that he has on him. His powers include shapeshifting, which can include shapeshifting others, winnowing, glamoring, wind manipulation, and healing. He has green eyes, tan skin, and long gold blonde hair. His beast form, which I never really thought about what he looked like as the
like a
beast.
wolf, right? Kind of
Well,
like a wolf-esque looking thing. That's how I
it's
imagined it.
so it says that his beast form is the size of a horse with a bear-like body, with a
Interesting.
wolf-like head, and
Okay.
elk-like antlers. And the one thing that he keeps true in this form is his eyes.
Hmm.
So his eyes are still those green eyes. But yeah, so he's like it's a like a
A
bear body
mix
and a wolf head, and he
with
moves like a
elk
feline, like,
antlers.
yeah, he's got elk like antlers. So I think like really it's describing very much like what the beast looks like in Beauty and the Beast. I mean, he's got those big horns, if you recall. Like he just has less of a wolf-like head.
Yeah. Hear me out. Elk like antlers or like stag like antlers?
What do you think?
No, just because everyone's saying Lysandra, shape shifting, that whole
Oh,
era, like, Adian being related to Aelin, the stag. I don't know. Anyway,
wait
back
a
to
minute.
Tamlin.
Wait a minute. Oh, you
I don't
know,
know.
yeah. I mean, elk, deer, stag, like, I mean, can all be like very similar things there.
Very
So,
similar.
ooh, that's really interesting.
Really interesting.
So Tamlin is described as a strong, quiet person who's not very good at making friends or talking to people, which I think is a very important detail to his
Hmm.
personality traits. Like he is kind of like, you know, I don't want to
Awkward.
say shy, but he's like awkward. He like doesn't
Yeah.
know how to make friends.
Yeah.
He's not like the polished Rhysand who's just like attracts all these friends and like has this big um posse or whatever you call it. Like,
Yeah.
he's very I guess more introverted, I
Yeah,
suppose. Like he
probably.
seems like a quiet introverted person who's like strong. Um he thinks that he's only good at war, killing people, and almost joined a traveling band to play the fiddle full time. Like instead of he almost just went and did that. So like he doesn't have a whole lot of self-confidence in his personality, it seems. He, doesn't have a lot of friendships, and as we dive in, we'll see a lot. Even if he did have a lot of the friendships, then he sent them and they went and they got killed. So
Yeah.
like one of his friends in the very beginning of the book, who he describes as a friend, got killed by Feyre. So it's like this guy, just like, even the little friends that he did have, he lost a lot of them.
Mhm.
So but yeah, so it's really interesting how his like personality is described. And I think a lot of people like forget his personality from ACOTAR. Like I mean, I even want to do like a reread like
Mhm.
soon, because I feel like so much was missed and like so much is forgotten about. By the time we get to Akamav, it's like a whole new world and we just completely forget everything that happened in ACOTAR besides the ending.
Yeah, because
You
we're
feel
just
that
like,
way?
wait a second. Oh yeah, 100%. Because I remember reading it, and again, I really enjoyed ACOTAR, and I really enjoyed their story. And I remember when the end of ACOTAR happened, I was so team Tamlin, and I was like, wow, this guy is just it. Like he is great. And then you know, Akamath happens, and you're just like, oh sugar.
Yeah.
Who's Tamlin? What is this Rhysand guy? Do I like
Yeah.
him? Why am I okay with him kidnapping me? Or Feyre, or like I would be okay with him kidnapping me. Why am I okay with all of this? Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I yeah. So I just want to say, starting out with just knowing that we come into knowing Tamlin through ACOTAR. And the first time we see him, obviously, is when he breaks into Feyre's house after Feyre does, kill his
Friend.
unalive his friend. So we see Tamlin coming in there, and Tamlin very well could unalive Feyre and her whole entire family at that point. He has every right to, essentially. And instead he just takes them hostage and takes Feyre hostage. And I know it's solely to break this curse that he has with Amarantha, because he has to have a human fall in love with him. Um, but he does treat Feyre with such a kindness from the beginning. He offers to get her paint supplies. He does all these things. Like he just wants to make her feel comfortable.
And what he did for her family. He
And
could
what
have
on
he
top
could have
of
just left them to rot.
yes, and instead he makes sure they're well taken care of, which I think is so like telling to the man that he is. Um anyway, so the thing is with Tamlin, we see he's not inherently evil from the start. We know this man is not evil. He's not the worst. He also, when we meet Tamlin, we're now realizing, sorry, if you hear my husband in the background, he's cooking right now. So if you hear like whatever, it's my dog walking or my husband cooking. Um, anyway, when we meet Tamlin and we see him taking Feyre into the spring court and all that kind of stuff, we know he's not inherently evil. He's not a bad guy. He's not like, is he taking someone against their will? Absolutely. But he's making sure she's comfortable, whatever. And if we want to go back to how Tamlin was raised, he was one of three, he's three older brothers, so one of four.
Oh, two
We
older
know that
brothers.
two older brothers, one of three.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so two older brothers. With his two older brothers, when you're going to be the next High Lord and you're starting to exhibit those powers, which he was, but he didn't want to be. He knew he was exhibiting those powers. He's like, I got to get out of here. I'm going to go join my dad's army and I'm going to be working the front lines. As
Mm-hmm.
much as I want to, you know, be a traveling fiddle player, I'm going to work the front lines. I'm going to do what I have to do so my brothers won't notice my power. But you normally get training to become the next High Lord. And you're normally given training so you know what to do, how to do the things, how to be diplomatic, how to run an entire court. And Tamlin never got any of that. So
No.
Tamlin's dad, mom, sister, and brothers, his entire family, doesn't matter how horrible they are, were all unalived in a moment.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Tamlin was then thrust into this High Lord position that he had no training for, no want for, no need. Like he was like, I don't want any of this, but he was thrust into a position instantaneously, like
Right.
without even a second to consider, a second to prepare. It was instantaneous.
Right.
So Tamlin went from working the front lines in the army and or wanting to be a traveling fiddle player, mind you. So working in the army. So I imagine his militant mindset sometimes on why it's like bump, 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 like one thing after another is due to his training in the army.
Yeah. I do want to make one
So
note too, is like you said, like, yeah, he took Feyre against her will, but who also took Feyre against her will?
true, Rhysand.
Rhysand.
That's true. That's also true. So Tamlin and Rhys are both
They're
morally
two
gray.
sides of the same
They are
coin.
both morally gray.
And
So
I
just
just want to say, like, literally, I want so much more of this two sides to the same coin
yeah.
written, because I feel like there's so many parallels between Rhys and Tamlin that people
Hmm.
just don't want to look at because they
Yeah.
hate him.
They hate
But
Tamlin.
yeah. And it's like, but they're very, very similar. Like, that's the
Very
whole
similar.
reason why Rhysand is attracted to Tamlin to begin with, is because he, they started seeing each other at, these different court functions, and he saw something, he saw himself in Tamlin and was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to befriend this guy. I'm going to help him out. I'm going to give him some Illyrian training. Like, befriended him for a reason.
Hmm.
He
They
saw
used to
something
be
in,
friends.
yeah,
Hmm.
and he saw something in Tamlin. And so that just is like shows that they are similar people and they can relate on different levels. And it does say too, like with the whole every all both of their families got unalived at the same time. Like, even in the wiki, like, it's written in such a way which is so true, because people think that Tamlin, that it's 100% done deal, that Tamlin's the one who sold out Rhysand's sister and mother, that it's 100% foolproof canon fact. It is not. It is not. We have seen Tamlin feel guilt. We have seen him say, he burned the wings. We've seen him say, we have never seen proof that Tamlin was the one who outed the family. We have no idea
Yeah.
how that actually happened. We have no idea the circumstances surrounding that. And so it's like, really, I think, does a disservice to him as a character to just say, oh yeah, he definitely did it, because we don't have that definite in writing
No, we don't.
in the story.
And I think that's like a huge thing that we need to address just because Tamlin did not unalive Rhysand's mom and sister. That was Tamlin's dad. We also know that we hear through like bits and bobs from the other characters that Tamlin's dad was not lovely. He was not great. He was not loving. He was not caring. He was quite cruel. And Tamlin's mom, while they were mates, they didn't really like love each other. And I don't imagine there was a lot of love in that relationship. So I assume Tamlin, understanding what love is, was very foreign. And I imagine the only affection he ever got was from his mom.
It was, yeah.
But if his dad was so abusive to Tamlin, I don't imagine his mom standing up for him very much
No.
because look what we have right now. We
But
have
that's
someone
the
who,
only relationship, like, he even
yeah,
that's like the closest thing.
yeah.
And we have to remember that he also got that taken from him, his mother as
So
well.
he's lost, yeah. The only other female figure who's shown him any love or person who's shown him like affection and love besides Lucian has been his mom. And then so he lost that. And I imagine, that probably did a number on him. So he's lost his mom. And then at this point with Amarantha's curse and everything, he's lost his mom, past trauma, his whole family and brothers. We don't know their relationship too well. We know the dad and him, kind of tumultuous, brothers, probably not the
Yeah.
greatest. I imagine his brothers were probably similar to like the
Lucian's
Autumn Court.
brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
the
it says
Autumn
like
Court.
like they, they were pretty ruthless, and like
Mhm.
also his brothers and his dad hated humans, really hated humans. And Tamlin, I think another really good quality that we see in him that shows that he isn't a inherently bad person, is he rejects that complete notion, even
Yep.
not having the training and only seeing that example from his father. He completely rejects this hatred and wanting to kill humans, and he actually has sympathy for them and wants to protect them, which I think is really cool. And he tells like Feyre that, like, he it, he's like breaking that generational thought,
Curse.
that, yeah, that, you know um but God, there's just so much to this
There is so
freaking
much.
man. Because also, I was when I was reading through and like going back and in his story, um, to the night where, Rhysand and his dad show up at the spring court, and I just, it gives me almost goosebumps to think about like how much I want this like visually on a screen, where like Tamlin opens the door, looks at his, like, smells the blood, kills Rhysand's dad, and then I can just imagine like Rhysand and Tamlin like looking at each other so intensely
Yeah.
as they both fill up with that High Lord power. And it's just like, what an iconic moment that I feel like is just such a lost moment in this entirety of the series. It's so like kind of just forgotten about, or just not really like, I feel like that was just such a big thing for both of them. It's literally, that's like, I feel like where um visually you could see like the dark yin and yang, I don't know, like some two sides of the same coin
Why
person of
is
them
my
looking at
brain
each other.
automatically going like, okay, how could we potentially film this? Who can we like, who would
Ye-
be our Tamlin? How do we film this? Like, okay, it would be this.
but
Literally,
isn't
you're
that, it's such an
talking and I'm
iconic,
cinematically going in my brain. Yeah, no,
but
that would
it's
be iconic.
iconic, it's an iconic moment that I feel like it's just not really talked about that much.
No,
Like
no, it's
it's
not.
just washed over, and it's like that's a freaking moment of them looking at each other, and then them both deciding enough.
Yep.
Like
We're not gonna,
enough.
no more killing, enough killing. Yep.
Yeah, but I think that's a really, but that moment is important because it's not just that Rhysand is Rhysand. It's not just that Tamlin is Tamlin. They have a deep rooted hatred of each other because of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it runs like freaking roots deep into them, which drives their how they treat each other and how Tamlin eventually reacts. Like, it's not just that Feyre is being kidnapped by the worst person in Prythian, by this evil High Lord of the Night Court. No, it's by the person who killed his like family too. And so there's
Yeah.
like a deep rooted hatred on both sides. Like,
And while
it's
Rhys
just
didn't like himself, Rhys did not kill Tamlin's mom. Like Rhys
no,
himself did not kill Tamlin's mom, but
killed his brothers,
Rhys's
but
dad did. Right, Rhysand's dad did
kill his
kill
dad and his
Tamlin's.
mom. Yeah,
Yeah,
at the same time.
even though there was like talk, like don't do that. Like we're not going to kill the mom, but then
100%. And I feel like
they
Tamlin
still did.
probably, on the flip side, did not want Rhysand. I don't, I cannot see
No,
Tamlin wanting Rhysand's family dead either. And so it's like this huge, but to Tamlin, it's like, again, to both of them, even though Tamlin wasn't the one who'd killed them, and even though Rhysand wasn't the one who
it's
killed
hurt.
them,
You just lost your
you
family.
attribute it you attribute that all that pain to the one person
Mm-hmm.
who survived, right?
Yep.
So it's your fault and you have to blame somebody, right? It's interesting. And then like the fact that Tamlin, later on we find out, that he had burned the wings out of respect. I think there weren't no I mean, I think that those weren't the real wings. So I think that's kind of why they got burned. I think it's really you know, suspicious that they were
Yeah.
burned. So, but that's a
So
whole thing.
here we are. Like so now we're now forward, fast forward to Tamlin. Like when we meet him, he is under the curse
Mhm.
by Amarantha.
Who
Tamlin's
had
cur
groomed him,
who
tried to
groomed him. Yeah.
groom him as
So
a kid.
yeah, so we realized that Tamlin's dad was friends with Amarantha. They were friends together. So that
Highburn,
means
yeah.
Tamlin grew up with Amarantha. And that means that she's older than Tamlin. And she's always had a thing for him, an eye for him. So that's kind of grooming. That's kind of creepy. That's pedophilia, icky, gross. We don't like Amarantha. Comparably, she might be just as bad as Ianthe. Ianthe is still pretty awful. Anyway, besides
Yeah.
that, we know that Tamlin, because he will not sleep with Amarantha. He will not do that against his will, like, and his want and his desires, that she has now taken the entire land of Prythian essentially under control, and also Tamlin's spring court. He has lost control of his court, all because he will not give up his body to go sleep with Amarantha and be with her, and won't give up his life because she wants him as not just a lover, she wants him as her partner. And
Yeah.
hear me out. I understand Rhysand was willing to give up his body and his autonomy um for the cause, or with
Yeah.
Amarantha and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But But hear me out. Just because Rhysand did it does not mean that everyone else has to do it.
Mhm.
I would not feel comfortable
I would not. Yeah.
personally giving up my body in that it would be a very difficult situation. So put yourself in those shoes. My biggest thing is
100%. But even before that, rewind the play 5 minutes. Let's talk about him and Lucian as well. Like we can't get too far ahead
yeah.
because we didn't even talk about his friendship with Lucian, which I think is such a key point in his life. And I think it's like a definitely a big positive note for him when
Mm-hmm.
he, before all the Amarantha stuff, Lucian, he ends up saving Lucian, helping him kill one of his brothers, making him an emissary. And, they're seen, very much so in the beginning of ACOTAR, like actually being buddies and,
Really good
having good
friends.
rapport and like laughing with each other and things like that.
So
And
Tamlin
I think that
saved
that just also
Lucian
shows his
like out of the
character.
kindness of his heart, like made him an emissary because he knew if he was an emissary, they could not kill an emissary. Like no one could attack Lucian and kill him as an emissary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tamlin literally went out of his way to make sure that Lucian was safe.
Right.
So I think that speaks volumes on Tamlin's character as well. He saw Lucian and someone in a state of despair. Um, and he goes to help Lucian. And I think that also just speaks volumes to who he is. And
100%. So
yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we just touched on
Yeah,
their
absolutely.
friendship because like he doesn't have a lot of friends and Lucian really is one of those people. And I think people criticize Lucian so much too, and you guys can go watch our deep dive on episode on Lucian, which is, that was so much fun. But like people criticize Lucian for standing by Tamlin, but it's like this man saved his life and gave
hmm
him purpose in a time where he didn't have anything. And I
We
think
love
that
a found family trope, just like in Akasif. And I feel like they were the found family. They obviously have their issues going on right now, as all families do.
I
But I
hope
feel
they
like
figure it
Tamlin and
out.
Lucian were almost like a found family because Tamlin lost his entire family. Lucian was fleeing from his, and they kind of became each other's, like, you know, person
They're
in the
they're
corner.
brothers, yeah,
Yeah,
almost because
they're a
like
found family.
they're found family because both of
hmm
their families are pretty awful.
And
And I
or
think
not alive.
and or not alive, but was pretty awful.
The whole thing with Amarantha, again, she took over his court solely because Tamlin would not give up himself, his right to choose who he wants to be with his right of choice, his right of like his body, his like bodily autonomy and all that kind of stuff. So she says, "Fine, I'm going to literally make your life a living hell until you finally just you're so exhausted that you're going to give in to me." And then her only way or his only way to break the curse that she put on him is he has to have fall in love with a human girl who not only hates the Fae, has killed one of his own. So he's going to have a hatred because she killed one of his friends. They have to have a mutual hatred and a mutual unlike for one of like for each other essentially. And there has to be somehow love has to form between them. Have Amarantha has essentially given him an almost near impossible task that fine, if you're gonna reject me, the only way to break your curse that I put you on is something that's near impossible. By the grace of the mother, the cauldron, whoever, um, he ends up finding Feyre, and that whole situation happens with Feyre. So
Yeah,
Tamlin's now been ruling for 50 years. We are on year 49, folks. We are year 49 out of 50 years.
ruling a
Um,
disheveled court.
a disheveled court, which, mind you, he did not even know how to rule a real court to begin with. And
Yeah.
we even know how long his father and everyone has been like unalived because he could be
Um,
essentially like 1 year in to ruling this disheveled court or ruling a normal court and then getting thrust into ruling a disheveled one. So I can only imagine it might be a touch difficult.
yeah, I have no idea. I just know it does say years later.
Okay. So we don't
So
know
I
how
don't
many
know.
years are years later,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah,
know
because
that
I don't remember how old Tamlin and Rhys were when they became High Lords.
High Lords, okay,
I don't know if that was ever discussed.
established.
Yeah, we need a
Okay.
timeline though.
Well, so we don't know when, but so Tamlin didn't even know how to run a regular court. Like He didn't even know the basics and the fundamentals to like really run a normal court that's
Oh,
not
by the way, it does note in here something really interesting.
okay.
Most high lords, so it does say most high lords are trained from birth in manners of
Mm-hmm.
and laws and courts warfare, but Tamlin was never intended to become high lord. So when he
Yeah.
inherited his father's title, so literally when everything happened with Rhysand, many of the late high lords' courtiers defected to other courts rather than have a warrior beast snarling at them. So not only did he not have any idea what he was doing, people left.
That's horrible.
I was like, wow, that's
So he was literally
awful.
left with no one.
Abandoned by like
He was, yeah, abandoned
you know,
by his own people,
from
essentially
the start.
from the start. That
See, I'm
sucks.
see, I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, so this poor dude over here, we're like looking at him like he is just going through it. And oh gosh. Yeah, that super sucks.
See, that was a big that was something that I forgot. Like I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow,
I do now that you said it, I remembered it. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. Um but yeah, so he's doesn't know how to run a normal court, was never trained on how to run a normal court, and now is having to like take care of a disheveled court where you have creatures like the bog and the adder and the puka like coming into this court and causing chaos and trying to really destroy the spring court, and I'm sure other courts too, but really trying to
and all of
destroy
his
the
top
spring court.
people are going out and
Hmm.
getting killed constantly.
Yeah, and or left him, either one or the other.
Yeah, they either
So
left him or they're dying. So he's
yeah,
losing good people by the second.
so he's just kind of like, he's running this court. There's a lot of fear based. And I imagine he's a good person at heart. And I imagine he has the weight of the world and all of his people on his shoulders right now. He is just looking like, I don't know what to do. Like he has all these people depending on him and him solely. So that's a lot of pressure
Yeah.
just as is. Anyway, so here we are. The whole thing with Feyre happens. I'm just gonna go on a tangent real quick about Amarantha and that whole situation, and then we can like touch back to his relationship with Feyre.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so when we have that whole situation when he sends Feyre away, it's solely out of fear of what Amarantha would do to Feyre. If he did not love her, because a lot of people I've seen online say he never loved her, he only wanted her to use her to break the curse. If he did not love her, then he would not have sent her away
No.
because it was one day. It was one freaking day that he had to wait out. One day that he had just had to hold out a little bit longer to have this curse broken. And that's why Lucian was like, you're kidding.
Yeah.
You are kidding me right now. So when Feyre comes to the under the mountain with Tamlin and Amarantha and that whole situation, everyone's like, oh, why is Tamlin not responding to her? Like, da 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 da. If Tamlin was going to respond to her, Amarantha, we saw what she did to Claire better. I can bet your bottom dollar she don't care if there's a bargain or a deal or anything. She's going to do that to Feyre.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we also have to keep in mind while everyone's like, why didn't use his powers and Rhys,
Didn't
use
have
his powers to send magic and all that kind of stuff. Okay, well, we know that Rhys was given some of his powers back from Amarantha because he was
working for her.
working for her. Sure, that's a good way to put that. Um, and doing what needed to be done. Again, totally team Rhysand. Love that man. Set the bar high in the book boyfriend world.
We love him. Yes.
I love Rhysand. I love him
Love him.
so
Love him.
much.
Love him to death.
Love
But this is
him.
not his story. This is
I'm
Tamlin's
sorry, this is
story.
not his story. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
We'll do
sorry.
a deep dive
Anyway.
on Rhysand next season.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Oh man, that's gonna be a good one. Okay. Deep dive on Rhysand. Ooh,
Yeah.
love it.
Season 3.
Um,
He can have his own.
he can have his own. Maybe we'll get Connor on for that one. Anyway, so
Ooh.
back to I know, right? That's a good idea. Back to comment down below if you want Connor to join us for our deep dive on Rhysand. And we'll reach out. So anyway, back to Under the Mountain. Rhys has limited powers and ability, and Rhys can't even really do much. Like Rhys can't even overthrow Amarantha. So if Tamlin has less power than Rhys, and Rhysand can't even begin to touch Amarantha, he has no power. There's nothing this man can do. So while she's through all these trials, the best thing he can do for her is to show no
Nothing.
emotion, because if he shows any sort of emotion, it's just going to end up really bad for Feyre. It's just going to
Amarantha
make
will
her
find a way
trial
to kill her.
worse. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll make it so much worse, and it's not a good situation. And then if you want to talk about the whole thing, and everyone always gives Tamlin a lot of crap about the moment he had alone with Feyre, they tried to get it on instead of like breaking
Where were
out.
they gonna go? Where were they gonna
Where were they
go?
gonna
Where were
and
they
if
out the front door? Were they gonna
Okay, where were they gonna go? One, where were they gonna go? Two, if they got out, Tamlin still has no powers. No one has powers. There's no
Where are they
powers. No
going?
one has magic. So if Amarantha was to send her cronies, her army, the Adder, the Puka, the Bog,
The
whatever
human
she wants,
Feyre.
after Tamlin and Feyre, or even just Feyre, how is she going to protect herself? She would have been definitely unalived at that point and probably
So
tortured.
easy.
So because she like defied Amarantha, so I could
And
see
also,
Amarantha.
other people would have been probably killed. Lucian, gone.
Mhm.
Oh, Tamlin, you
It
escape with
just
her. Lucian, you're dead.
Yeah, because she purposely was like torturing Lucian in front of Tamlin, trying to get like, what's her name? What's her name? What's her name? And then finally Feyre was like, my name is Feyre Archeron, because originally, Tamlin was being really stone faced and was going to let Lucian get unalived. And that's why Lady Autumn came down to help Feyre and was like, hey, I appreciate what you did for my son, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we are. So, and if we want to keep in mind, Feyre says multiple times in the book, the only time her and Tamlin really connect is when they're intimate with each other. So physical touch, if we want to go back to the 5 love languages, I believe physical touch is it's both of their love languages, at least in their relationship together. Like
Yeah.
physical touch is their love language. So at least together in a relationship.
Yeah. And it can
So
make you feel connected to somebody when you're feeling like really down and alone. Like, I mean, I like a good
s-
freaking snuggle,
and a
kisses.
hug,
Like, I love,
anything,
yeah, like it makes me feel,
attention. I need physical touch.
yeah,
So anyway, if we want to be honest and realistic about that, yes, Tamlin, he could not have broken her out. There was just logistically, there was
impossible.
nowhere he could have
The
taken her.
adder
There's
found Feyre in like
nowhere.
2.5 seconds.
2.5 seconds. They could easily hunt her down. That means them going to the human realm, probably trying to hunt her down and find her. And that means somehow she would have to make it to the spring from under the mountain, through the spring court, to the human realm. And then the Fae and the Adder and all them, they can still go to the human realm. And then that's putting all these humans at risk.
It's logistic nightmare.
It's not, and that's not a thing.
It's
It
not
just wouldn't happen.
realistic.
It's not a thing.
Any logical
So,
person wouldn't have done it.
no, no. I mean, you could be like, I wish I could get you out. And be like, yeah, I know this is a really
Her
difficult
best chance was
situation.
to solve the fucking riddle that was easy as hell.
I don't know. Yeah, that was so annoying. That was so annoying. But anyway, so
Anyway,
we have the whole under the mountain thing.
he's probably
And
just holding
then
out for that. He was like, she's got to figure it out, especially.
somehow she's not that dumb. Come on. No, she's not. She's not. She's very smart, and she does
Yeah.
figure it out. And
Yeah.
she has a different set of skills. Like Feyre is very like quick on her feet and very much like, I feel like Nesta would have
Deep
gotten
dive
the
on
riddle,
Feyre
because
coming.
Nesta, yes, Nesta is very much like inquisitive in her brain. Like Nesta is very like thought provoking, and like she's very intelligent, whereas Feyre, I believe, is more like on her feet, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in a tricky situation, Feyre would be able to get you out of a stucky situation, but like in a riddle or something, like Nesta would be the strong suit.
I mean,
Anyway,
I suck at riddles, to be honest. So,
I
and
am one of the
especially under
very
all
few
that
people.
pressure, like under all that,
Oh
like
yeah.
my brain would not be,
No.
I don't know.
No.
So, but
So anyway, we have this whole situation with Amarantha. Finally, Feyre breaks the curse, right? Feyre breaks the dang curse. Thank you, dear Lord, baby Jesus. And if we want to just go back to why Tamlin and Rhys just don't get on very well, the whole time under the mountain,
it just was
Rhysand
worse. It made it worse.
Rhysand is dressing Feyre up in very gauzy attire, which gauzy is kind of like see-through sometimes. So it's very
It
see-through
was
attire, barely covering
yeah,
anything.
skimpy.
Getting her drunk on fairy wine and making her dance like provocatively and stuff
It's like a
in
Princess
front.
Leia like situation
Yeah, in
almost.
front of him and others. So I imagine, and he did it for right reasons. To give credit to Rhysand, he said, I needed to make Tamlin mad. I needed him to be angry
Yeah.
so he could take down Amarantha. I needed that anger there and present. And I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. But
But Tamlin doesn't know that.
Tamlin doesn't know that, and also kind of icky on Rhysand's end.
It is
Like,
icky. It was icky.
it's
That was
kind of
made me
like,
very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. Like that,
yeah, because
even
you're
the
getting her
justification for
drunk.
it, it still bothers me.
Yeah, I hearing why it happened, we were like, okay, but it's like, oh gosh, that's rough. That's
So call a
rough.
spade,
It's
you know, like it's still icky.
morally gray men. These are morally
Morally
gray
gray.
men.
That's what I'm saying.
Morally gray
Like,
men,
does
both of
Tamlin
them.
do icky things? Yeah. Morally
Lots of
gray.
icky things. So anyway, here we are. Finally, curse is broken. Tamlin is the one to kill Amarantha, not
Mm.
Rhysand. It is Tamlin. He rips, pardon my language, he rips that bitch's throat out. Oh,
Yes.
yes. That
Woo!
was a top tier moment. He attacks
Yes.
her and he just rips her throat out. And when they filmed this movie, when they filmed the Hulu series, how I want this to go is I want Tamlin to attack Amarantha, pin her up against a wall, rip her throat out, and then it just zooms out like at the end shot, and there's Claire Better on top and Amarantha on the bottom, almost in the same draped position.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's just my brain where that goes. Anyway,
Yes, but this is also where we see
so
that he has a heart of stone.
mhm.
So very important detail there for future
We don't know why he
combo.
has a yeah. We
Yeah,
don't know why he has
why?
a heart of stone. We're never told why, but we know he has a heart of stone. So anyway,
Does that
that's
also
my bit.
factor, but that is also this heart of stone, does that factor into his personality at all? Is this like a
Yeah.
secondary, like what is that? What is the freaking heart of stone? What is it doing to him too? Does it not allow him to make these really good relationships somehow too? Who's going to break the stone?
Can I a really quick question
Go ahead.
or a
Um,
comment?
yeah.
So Sarah J. Maas from the beginning of Forever has said this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is docked as a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We know with recently now reading all the books and all the theories, and our biggest theory is that Tamlin and Elaine are mates. So here we are. Elaine is considered beauty. Tamlin is considered beast. We don't know what the curse is. And I've said, and I think you've also agreed with me that, or I've agreed with you on the fact that Feyre is the witch that curses
Yes.
Tamlin because now he's roaming around in beast form. We
Yes.
don't know why Tamlin's heart is made of stone. What if he was cursed years ago and his curse is that his heart is stone? And it's going to require someone to undo the curse, to break that curse through the stone, like break the heart out of the stone. And Elaine is saying to Lucian, I can hear your heart through the stone. Can you hear mine? And Lucian's like, what are you talking about?
That's it. Oh God, that line. I literally every time you say it or anybody says it, I'm like, that is the freaking golden nugget line right there.
So, yeah, I'm wondering if
Like she can
Beauty and the
hear
Beast
it.
retelling, it's going to be Tamlin kind of fully accepting himself, healing, becoming this High Lord. Wait a second. This is totally out of left field. So Tamlin never wanted to be High Lord, right? Never wanted it. So I wonder if the heart kind of, he made a deal with some witch somewhere to like, hey, suppress my power. I don't want to be High Lord. Suppress it, hide that part of me and lock it away. And it's going to
Mm.
be him finding his mate or Elaine. And then we're going to kind of see him, the real full version of Tamlin. Because right now we're only seeing this partial version because his heart is cased in stone. So it's kind of
Yeah.
hidden. His real heart is hidden. I don't know.
And it's
Crazy
I think
theory.
I mean no, I think that's still valid, and but I also think the heart of stone has to have some sort of significance
Yeah.
um in the story, and or to do with his personality as well. Like maybe that's literally like preventing him from like maybe causing like his anger issues, or like why he's just like enraged, or
I think
like
that's why
why
he's closed off.
he's closed off. Yeah, like he doesn't
Hmm.
have full access to his heart.
Or his self, his power. If you don't use your full power, you go crazy. If you're not using your power and you're not releasing your power enough, you're going crazy. So I wonder
We
if his
also
heart being
know that ACOTAR, and I'm just also going out crazy here, but we also know that ACOTAR is loosely based off of Howl's Moving Castle, the animated movie, which is a phenomenal movie.
Amazing,
Everyone needs to watch it.
amazing.
Um, but in that movie, Hal doesn't have his heart. His heart is Calcifer, who is taken
Yeah.
out of him and is
Calcife. Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
love him.
is the Heart of
That's my
Stone
favorite character.
me too, but is the Heart of Stone like a Calcifer situation? He doesn't have his heart, it's stone? Because we know that she loves that movie. I don't know, it's just something out on a
So
limb.
Rhysand was based
But when
out
Hal
of
got his
Howl.
that's why Hal is I know Rhysand was, but they're two sides of the same coin. They could have,
Yeah.
she could have split. She doesn't have to make it exactly, right?
Yeah.
So, like in that movie, Howl's Moving Castle, when he gets his heart back, like he changes his person. Like he is not complete without his heart inside of him. He's all closed
I don't
off.
know.
He's all this stuff. He has anger problems and he's emotional in the movie. All of these things, I don't know. It could have something to do with the Heart of Stone. He doesn't have his
I
heart.
really think that, we're gonna see again. I really feel like it's
There's
Elaine.
something more.
There's so many parallels there, and I think
Yeah.
for whatever reason, she's like, I can hear your heart through the stone. Can you
Oh
hear
God.
mine? So that to me means I really do feel like his heart is entrapped in this stone, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like kind of a leash on his power and
Yeah.
a leash on his ability to become High Lord. Which I know he like became High Lord and everything when that happened by force, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he was technically the chosen High Lord, and because he was the chosen High Lord and he didn't want it, he was like, hide this. Don't let my brothers see because they're going to come kill me. My brothers will literally murder me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get rid of it. And I think somehow he made a bargain, he made a deal with somebody,
Something. Yeah.
something to kind of encapsulate that, which
Oh my God, this
I
is so
believe that's
interesting.
all
This
his
Heart of Stone is actually
ability.
so
Yeah.
deep.
So deep.
And
So
it's like a
deep.
little detail that again,
So
people
small.
just people forget about it
Yeah.
because they don't want
So
to remember ACOTAR. They just want to go to chapter 54.
can't blame them.
Can't blame them, but like
Can't
this is
blame them.
important stuff. Like it never
Important
really is
stuff.
explained.
Details.
The
Yeah.
stone is not explained.
So anyway,
Oh
if you want
God.
to bump back to his relationship with Feyre, or I can keep chatting
Well,
about it. I think
yeah,
you got
well,
it though.
I did want to touch on a few moments in their relationship. I think one of the biggest ones is him giving her like the paint studio. And I think I really love the moment where they connect on the painting that she makes. You remember
Yes.
that part?
The dark and kind of scary painting. She kind of thought he asked her a painting and she kind of thought, oh, he's going to go for something pretty. And then he says, no, I want that one because that feels like the most like me. Like that's how I feel. And it was like their way of connecting almost. That they're
Yeah.
both troubled and they
Cuz
both
he
have
loved and then
trauma.
falling in love with her.
Hmm.
I thought that was a really beautiful beautiful scene.
I think my favorite Tamlin scene is the Blue Fairy.
Mhm.
The Blue Fairy scene from the Summer Court, without a doubt, was the first time I cried in a book in a long time. The first time a book made me cry in a long time. Then I just read all the rest of Sarah J. Maas's books. Then I just cried every book.
And
I
that
don't think there's been a book
shows
that I
him.
haven't cried yet. But
It shows
it shows
him.
his compassion. Yes. It shows his utter compassion for, I guess, other lives and his
Yeah.
responsibility and how there's no way that he can save him. And Feyre even says, heal him. And he's like, I can't.
He said
Like
if
his
I had my
powers,
he said if I had my
full
full powers I
powers.
could.
Yeah. And instead, Tamlin is just staying there with the fairy, the blue fairy, and is doing like the mother hold me, mother guide you, da 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 da, and like really taking care of him, and like does whatever he can to make him comfortable in that moment, and does not just let him bleed out in the front of the spring court. Which bear in mind, like we're also
Why
Rhysand.
am I crying?
It's so sad, and
Another one of my favorite Farah Tamlin moments. My favorite Farah Tamlin moment is when they're laying in the meadow and she's looking up and he's like, "Oh, I could show you what I see." And he gives her a kiss like on the cheek or whatever. And she's able to see the world like for an instant of like how a Fae sees the world.
mm,
And it's just like it gives me very much like Bella Edward vibes, like laying in the meadow when they were like laying.
yeah,
And it like, I don't know, it's just such a sweet moment between the two of them that I think again, people who say he didn't love her, like this is them falling in love.
This is their love story.
I think it's a really
You're
beautiful
allowed to love more
scene.
than one person in your lifetime, and Feyre did love
Yes.
Tamlin.
And then the pool of starlight too, like
Yeah. I
why?
do have to
Why?
say, every time I think when Tamlin's like, for one kiss, and then Lucian coming back, and there's like, if it's only one kiss, Feyre, like, I was like,
Yeah. Well, it was like,
I
if I
love
hung the
Lucian.
moon, what does he say? Like, if I something on the moon on the stars, would you kiss me too, or something like that? Doesn't he say?
Yeah.
God, I love Lucian so much,
Loved that
and
man.
I feel like
Okay.
Tamlin needed Lucian. I'm really sad about their friendship.
I'm so sad because I think Tamlin needs Lucian as like a funny guy. Like he needs like Lucian's
Yes.
lightheartedness because Tamlin's so serious.
Well, that's another
And
reason why he really liked Lucian and like made him an emissary is because Lucian is good at making friends, and that is something that
mhm,
Tamlin is not good at doing.
not good at doing. No. No. So anyway, and okay, so Feyre and Tamlin are together in the spring court right now, right? So we have the the unknown of what do they call it? The
The
blight.
blight.
The blight is going on, and the blight has the puka coming to the house. The blight has the bog. The blight has the adder as well, and Rhysand and all this stuff. And then on top of it, he's now the blight also has the summer court fairy, the blue fairy, getting their wings chopped off. The blight has, I believe it's another summer court fae, their head on a freaking spike.
Yep.
Mind you, Tamlin is
Put
thinking
there
this
by
is all
Rhysand.
Rhysand. Yeah, this is all Rhysand. Like, again, Rhys is being forced to do this by Amarantha.
But
We
why
learn
is he
later,
forgiven? And
I know. Chapter
that's
54
that's the
speech.
thing.
How do you not forgive him? Tamlin just needs a chapter 54 speech, and
I
I think all
know
would be forgiven. But anyway, so Tamlin needs his own chapter 54.
he
I'm hoping
does.
for it. And
Petition for
I would
Tamlin's chapter 54 with
but
Elaine.
with Elaine, yes. So what I think though is
Oh,
with
I just played it in my head. I just played that whole. I just saw it. Him and Elaine, and him confessing to her.
why he did everything with Feyre,
Just
like his
everything, the whole
justifications.
thing. His life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I think though with Tamlin, he at this point he's thinking, okay, Rhys is like the worst of the worst. I already thought that. That was been Rhysand is the worst High Lord, the scariest High Lord, the most powerful High Lord. And now he's working with Amarantha, who literally put a curse on me and my
Mhm.
land, and I
Mhm.
have no control. I have lost control. I lost control of choosing my life and my destiny. I was no longer allowed to be a traveling fiddle player. I was no longer allowed to even go in the army, so I lost control in that. I was forced to become a high lord. Forced.
Yeah.
So lost control there. Lost control about saving his mom and his family. Lost that control. So lost control there.
He's
Now we're here losing control again, losing control again of his court, losing control of his ability to save his friends, because you have his friends constantly going out time after time and getting murdered
yeah.
sometimes, or coming back alive, and
Yeah.
sometimes getting murdered. So then again, constantly losing control of being able to protect the people he loves.
Common theme.
This is a common theme. He has now, when he gets Feyre's under the mountain, he has lost the control and the ability to save her and protect her. So he's doing whatever he can to do that. So he cannot save her. He cannot protect her. He's starting to spiral, losing control. He has no control over what Rhysand does to her under the mountain
Mhm.
with the whole dancing. Control is a big thing for Tamlin. And we
I
know
think
he's
it's a big thing
awkward.
because of him
He's had none of it.
not having. Yeah. And I want to note
None of it.
too, as you're going into that, and as I feel like we'll go into the Akamath part, but just to touch on the ACOTAR part, um, you can, if you read ACOTAR, you do not come away with the feelings that he is trying to control Farah, that
No.
he is trying to keep her locked up. There's many moments, and I wish I had the quotes on hand, but there's many moments where he, like, you can do whatever you want, you can go wherever you want. Like, he
Yeah.
lets her literally go trap a cereal, like, as all
Mm-hmm.
these things are going on, right? As the
Well,
bog
he
and all
doesn't
these.
really tell her to, but like she
No, but
does.
it's not
And
like he's locking her up, right? To
yeah.
try to like keep her in this box and be this whatever. He's
Mm-hmm.
okay with her like going out and doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
Lucian even like not showing up and like messing with her, like it's like, and you could see that as like cruel, on one hand like cruel, like she's human, she could die, but also it just shows that he doesn't have that, like that's not
Yeah.
where
He's
he's
not
at.
controlling. He's not like a
Yes.
malicious dude.
Even when
So,
she breaks the rules and goes to Calamai, like, they
yeah.
have that sexual tension, but he doesn't then lock her up in her room. He doesn't then scold her like, "Oh," and blow up. No, he wants to fuck her. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but we see even her breaking the rules and sneaking out and doing something dangerous, he does not react in the way that he does in Akamath. So there is a huge contrast in the way that he acts post her death and all of the traumatic experiences under the mountain for him. So I just wanted to
So
make a note
just
of
to
that.
like,
It's not an underlying
yeah.
thing of him, like, this is grown throughout time and then the
Yeah.
traumatic events.
So Tamlin just has
It's
no
important.
control over anything. And imagine living your life not having control, choices, all that kind of stuff is being taken away from you. Like your choices, your control, your ability to like that would drive me nuts. And I am not even like a crazy control freak, but that would drive me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so we're now after Under the Mountain and we have Feyre back and we're going to Akamath time. So we're done ACOTAR, we're now in Akamath. This man has no control over anything. So
It's
we
been
now
3 months,
know
by the way. It's 3 months.
3 months. So we now see Tamlin trying to reintroduce his court into a normal life because for the last 50 years they have been living in squander, kind of, and the people that have been kidnapped, they were not all put under the mountain. We were made very well aware by Lucian that some of them were put in camps. And how I imagine this is almost like a concentration camp, when he said the way he described camps, and sometimes they were forgot to be fed, so they had to eat each other. And Lucian literally tells us, yeah, they had to like sometimes they ate each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these people who for 50 years were living in these camps and these horrible conditions, and were living very really like scavenger-esque lives and
Yeah.
really rough and really sad
Yeah.
lives, and they're now being reintroduced into a normal society and they're trying to get some sense of normalcy, um, and so they don't go back to those ways that they've been dealing with in the camps, like they don't eat each other and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
Tamlin is dealing with
A
that, getting
lot.
his court together. So it's 3 months post that, and I imagine it is not taking only 3 short months to get these people well acquainted. And imagine, you have to get people jobs, you have to get people housing, you have to get people, a schooling system set up. Like if you're thinking about what it takes to
A
run a
kingdom.
county or like a kingdom, you are now incorporate, you have to start from scratch almost, I imagine, very close to at
Mhm.
least.
Yeah.
And because I'm sure some people were left in the Supreme Court, but I don't imagine most were.
Yeah.
So you have some people that were left there, some people that weren't, and
Yeah.
then like what's happened to their houses that they left 50 years ago. Are they falling apart? Are they this? Are they
It's a
that? Like
mess, like a
it's a
freaking
mess.
mess.
It's a huge mess. So
Yeah.
he's dealing
So,
with that on top of you know the bog, the puka, the adder, everything is the bad things are still infesting the spring court.
yeah.
So minding that notion, he is
Yeah.
dealing with readjusting, reacquainting everyone, his court back to normalcy. He's dealing with the bad things. I understand. And Tamlin is very militant because the only training he's ever had. So when he is like, no, we're going to lay down the law and we're going to be militant, I understand almost why he's like, okay, we need some sort
Well,
of
Lucian sees it too,
law.
and that's why
Yeah, we
Lucian
need something.
Law and Order. So in here I do want to read this excerpt from the wiki because I feel like it's really well written. And then like get your thoughts on like talking about that. But it says
Yeah.
so 3 months after the events on the mountain, they got engaged, and Farrah says that she was overjoyed and it was the best moment of her life. However, they're still battling with the traumatic events that marked them. Tamlin and Farrah mutually decide to ignore the issues they are having, pretending like nothing happened. Farrah's physical and mental health continued to deteriorate, as well as Tamlin's, and Tamlin refused to let her leave the manor alone without sentries, as he believed the monsters Hybern were sending to his borders would try to capture her. He spends most of the day out of the manor killing those monsters, and when he comes
Hmm.
back at night, they have sex and they sleep in their own rooms. Tamlin became very paranoid. While Farrah throws up at night from her nightmares, Tamlin wakes up in cold sweats from his and turns into his beast form to keep watch out of paranoia that someone will try to kill Farrah. So they're both struggling here. And again, like we only really see Feyre's perspective, so we get these glimpses of like what Tamlin's also dealing with, but from his perspective, he also can't sleep at night. He's also getting
No.
increasingly more paranoid. He's, I felt like that was really well written for
And
a
Lucian
Tamlin
even
wiki. I'm
says,
shocked.
yeah, and well, Lucian even says when him and Feyre are, riding around, he said, "You didn't have to see you die," because Lucian
That
unfortunately
line
lost his
is my
love.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually know the exact line, but it's like, you didn't have to watch you die.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, I
and
know what that feels like.
yeah, because he lost, what's his first love? With a
Oh
J,
God, I
maybe?
cannot remember.
I don't know.
I
But
can't
the
remember.
first love that he had that the Autumn King killed,
Yeah.
she was like a lesser fairy.
Mm-hmm.
Lucian lost her, and he even says like there was no magical five high lords or all the seven high
To bring
lords there
her
to bring
back.
her back.
It's a
So
great
I can
line.
only imagine. And just let me say this: if Nesta is having a hard time hearing fire crackling because of her dad having his neck snapped, can you imagine what Tamlin is going through internally after hearing Feyre's neck snapped? And
Right.
what is he issue? Like, can you imagine? He's in the spring court. That is a lot of forestry.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just walking on, riding his horse, and the horse stepping on branches and just breaking branches and the snapping of branches?
Right. The
The
trauma.
constant, if that is something Nesta was dealing with, I can
He
only imagine something similar he's going through. But we don't
well,
know
he's
that because
waking up in
he's,
sweats, turning into
yeah,
beast form, patrolling. Like he's not getting any sleep.
no.
He's going out there trying to kill all the things that Hybern's sending after. He's also trying, like you said, trying to maintain the damn court.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's it's just ridiculous. And then a lot of people also bring up in the beginning, um, how Rhysand made Feyre a high lady. Did you guys read the same book? Like, you know what I mean? Literally, even in here, it says during sex, Feyre desperately begs Tamlin to not give her a title and to not give her any court responsibilities. She does not want to be his equal. Tamlin says okay, and Feyre tells him that she couldn't bear being a high lady. Tamlin confesses to Feyre that she will be a consort only and that high ladies have never existed in Prythian. When I went back and reread this, after like I forgot about that whole scene. But when I went back and reread it, I was like, wait a minute. Farrah literally is like, oh my God, thank God I don't want to be a high lady. She doesn't
Yeah.
want it. So like
And then
Tamlin, it's not like she was like, oh,
during,
please make me a high lady. And Tamlin was like, fuck off. She literally was like, please don't. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it.
like,
Doesn't
yeah,
exist.
don't stress, babe. You're fine. Like, calming
It's
her
not
down.
like he was like this trying to put her in, like Susie Homemaker. It was like she
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Please don't make me do that." And he's like, "Oh, you don't have to. They don't exist because they didn't."
They didn't exist. And mind you, everyone's like, I understand. And I'm going to say I understand from Feyre's point of view. She is now high Fae.
Yeah,
She is
everything's
feeling
heightened.
all the things. Everything is like she's in a different body. She died. She came back to life. Like that alone is an experience in itself that I
Yeah,
can't even imagine what it's like. So she's going through it. She has all these
she's going
powers she
through
doesn't know
it.
how to use. So, and Tamlin is so afraid for her to use the powers because he doesn't want the other High Lords to find out. Um,
Yeah,
and also Tamlin doesn't have time for her right now. So Tamlin doesn't have time because he's doing all these other things. That does not say it's okay that he just kind of left Feyre. I think he was more like, I'm going to put a tack in you. I'll get to you when I get to you. But just right now, please just stay put. I cannot keep you safe if you're out and about. I don't have time to work with you. I got to make our court because Feyre even says these are our people. And she looks at the spring court as her people. So she's like,
yeah.
he's like, let me make our court safe, our
And they
people
have
safe.
poor communication skills. They are not
Oh,
communicating with each other
they don't
up to
communicate well
this
at
point.
all.
Like, and he is
They
not communicating. They're just not communicating. They have
no.
poor communication, and that causes so many issues in relationships.
So many issues.
So many.
So he's over here just like, I'm going to put a tack in you and I'll get to you when I get to you once this is all sorted. And Feyre's like, no, you can't put a tack in me because I'm a living being. I'm a person. Again, I
Mhm.
see both sides. I
Mhm.
see it.
Mhm.
I
Yes,
think he
100%.
should have hired someone or had someone from another court that he trusted. Someone else, because wasn't Day, I think Day Court is pretty neutral. Or
Yeah, but he
and
just
not
doesn't
even
know
like
anybody that well, you know?
no.
Like he doesn't
Yeah, he doesn't
it's
have
just
friends.
everyone's but also all the other courts are trying to figure out their
Yeah.
crap too. All
That's
the other
true.
courts don't
That's
have
true.
time for him. It's not just the spring courts is a mess. Everyone's a mess
Yeah.
besides everyone is a
The
mess
night court
besides the night court.
because the
Valaris is
night court
great.
had
Valaris is doing wonderful. Reese is
well
the
the night
only
court
one that doesn't
had
have all those stresses.
well he had the night court also had more. It had Cassian, it had Azriel
Mhm.
and Amarin to run it while Rhysand was under the mountain. And
Yeah.
I want to also just point that out. Like so while Tamlin
Because Tarquin gets
had
thrust into being a High
nobody,
Lord too, being the youngest High
yeah,
Lord at only 80 years old. Like
80
nobody
years
knows.
old.
Everyone's trying to
I know.
scramble at this point.
Yeah, and like I also again what I was saying was like Tamlin had Lucian and that's it. When he be for his court of people and Rhysand's circle was made up
Inner
mind you
circle.
so Tamlin had no training and Tamlin only has Lucian and Rhysand has all the High Lord training plus more Cassian, Azrael and Amarin. So Rhysand's court of people is so strong. And I imagine it's because Rhysand, he was one trained to be a High Lord. He also has really good communication skills.
He's
He's
good at
very good
making
at
friends.
communicating. Yeah,
Yeah.
and good at making friends. So he
They
has these
respect
people in
him.
his life. Yeah, and Tamlin doesn't, unfortunately. So if you want to look at that, yeah, like Rhysand had the time to give to Feyre because his court was not in shambles when,
Yeah.
that whole situation happens. And then Tamlin thought he was doing something nice for her by bringing her on Ianthe because he didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Um,
He did.
and he thought he was doing a good thing. He's like, oh, I'm bringing another female around, another girl. They can be friends. She's not alone.
Help plan the
I'm giving her
wedding.
a friend. She doesn't want to plan this wedding by herself. So, like, Ianthe will take, I'm
Yeah.
doing the right thing for her. He thought he was doing the right thing.
Yes. He
This
didn't.
man
I mean,
doesn't know much
no.
when it comes to the right thing. But
Makes
we
mistakes.
give grace here. We
Makes
give grace.
mistakes.
And he
Yeah.
learns. We learn from
Yes. Yes.
mistakes.
Yes.
So anyway, here we are. That whole situation when he locks Feyre in the house. And I have said this multiple times in many other
Well, the
episodes.
wedding. Because
Yeah,
before he
the
locks her in the house
wedding.
is the
Yeah,
wedding.
he takes the wedding. That's
So that
true.
adds even more
Yeah, so the
escalation,
wedding.
right? More
So we hear all
tension.
about the wedding. Yep.
Pressure
The
cooker.
wedding happens. And Rhysand comes, steals his bride. It's a
On her wedding day.
whole thing. And mind you, again, Rhysand is the evil of all evils. Like, he just thinks there is no one worse. So he's like, what is Feyre getting tortured? Is she okay? And he is just, beside himself at this point.
Yep.
Um, and oh, and again, under the mountain. Sorry to jump back to that, but Rhysand did the whole tattoo, the bargain tattoo on her hand, also to piss Tamlin off about like, sorry, that's a bargain. She's coming to me once a
And
week
you can't
or
break a
once a month.
bargain. Like it's not like that
Yeah,
easy. So this is the
no,
point where he now not only is spread so thin with everything else going on, but he spreads himself even thinner by trying to find a way to break the bargain, which is
yep,
why
trying like,
how he ends up with Highburn, which
mm-hmm,
again, the entire time he is a double agent.
yes. But so when Rhysand takes Feyre to the to the night court for the first time, you know how he treats her, it's fine. I think it's really funny that she throws a shoe at his head. I love that moment. I'm just like, girl,
Yeah.
get it. Like,
No, I
she's
love when
funny.
she was there.
She's
I was like,
funny.
this is great. I loved every second of reading that. Of course.
Same. Team Rhysand again. Team Rhysand.
Team Rhysand,
But so
yeah, of
then
course.
when she comes back, Tamlin is now he looks around. She looks around the house and she's like, oh my god, he clearly destroyed things while I was gone because he was that upset and
Yeah.
that disheveled. And that's when he has like one of his first, I think, outbursts
No,
around that
he has
time.
a yeah. I mean, he does around that time, yeah, when she comes
Yeah,
back
it's
at
around
some
that time is when
point.
he has the outburst. But
Yeah.
you
And then she
know,
shields herself, yeah.
she shields herself from it. We see Feyre's power, one of her powers and abilities. But it's Tamlin is literally at this point. We've
Losing
going back to
control
the
of himself.
losing control of himself now, but he's losing control of now protecting Feyre. And the last time he lost control, she almost died. She didn't thank God for the High Lords. And the last time he lost control, he lost his mom. The last time he lost control, he lost his court. This control thing, he's finally trying to regain some semblance of control. And now that Amarantha is gone, which was the big bad, he's now dealing with Rhysand and how he has no control over the love of his life.
It's like one
That
thing
he,
after another.
and it's just probably driving him absolutely insane and like
Absolutely. For that
crazy
whole
down to the
week, a week. Can you
thinking
imagine?
like
Can you
he can't do
imagine
anything.
Ronald being taken
No,
away from you for a week by like the person you dislike most in the world?
no,
Like
no, I
imagine
can't.
Amarantha taking Ronald every week or once a week every month. Well, like you would drive yourself nuts.
I would, yeah, I
Ianthe.
would do
Imagine
some.
Ianthe taking Ronald once 1 week a month.
No, no.
You probably would. Yeah, you would be a
I
freaking
would go
mess.
insane. I
Yeah,
would go
and it
insane.
and it's 3 times that it
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
So when he does lock her in the house, mind you. So when Tamlin does lock her in the house, again, I see both sides. The first time I read it, I was like, "Oh, that's not kind of cool." I guess I understand because he's literally like, "I don't know what to do and I can't protect you any other way.
Yep.
And this is all I know how to protect you."
This is
He's
how
like,
I
"I
can
just
control the situation.
put you." Yeah. The only sense of control if I just lock you in here.
Hmm.
As a fellow Sagittarius, Miss Feyre gal,
Same.
I would lose my damn mind.
Same.
I would kick, I would scream. Her entire reaction would be me.
Hmm.
I get it.
Hmm.
I get both sides here.
I don't like
I
being
can,
trapped. I don't like being told what to do.
no,
I do not like being controlled.
nope,
100% resonate with Farah.
yes.
Um,
But I can
that being
see
said,
why
but
Tamlin
I
did that.
see why yeah, I don't think it was a malicious thing.
Right? I don't think it was right, but I
Yeah, I don't
see
think it
why
was
he
right, but I
did
don't
it.
think he was being malicious.
No.
He was just doing
Doing what he had to do
what
for the
he
moment.
to try to control the situation,
Yeah.
and it was his that was his trauma response, and Farah's trauma response was her trauma response, and they're both valid
Mm-hmm.
responses to the situation. And
100%.
she had every right to leave that situation. She had every right to get out of that
Absolutely.
situation. She had no obligation to stay a prisoner by any means, but I just don't think that yes, Tamlin shouldn't have done that, but I understand why he did it. And
Yeah.
so that, it doesn't make it right, but it's like you put yourself in somebody's shoes and you can understand at least why,
The
which
why
helps
behind it.
you understand them
Mm-hmm.
and realize that it's not malicious.
It wasn't evil. He wasn't trying to be like this abuser. He
Yeah.
was just like, Feyre, I love you. I don't know.
You're
And
not listening
I
and I don't
just
know what to
also
do.
want to point out Akamath, everyone says they get really angry about Tamlin from book 1 to Tamlin from book 2. At this point, Feyre has met her mate. She doesn't realize it, but she met her mate. So why is there more balloons popping up on my screen? This is so strange. If you're watching, there's just balloons that keep randomly just woo across my screen. Anyway,
Yeah.
Feyre has met her mate, so any male right now in comparison to her mate is going to be faulty. She's going to nitpick
Yeah.
every male, and
Yep.
especially Tamlin. So like, when you
She's
have
high fae and met
Rhysand,
her mate. Yep.
yeah, she's high fae and she met her mate. So like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to compare. Like Tamlin,
He didn't
you're
stand a
not going to live
chance.
up to
Even
it.
if he was
You
perfect,
don't.
he wasn't going to live up to it. She was still going to view
You were,
him
yeah.
not that.
Tarquin is perfect, and he did not even stand a chance.
God,
And Tarquin is perfect.
he's
Tarquin
perfect.
is so perfect.
Perfect.
We are
Yeah.
team Tarquin over
I
here.
love Tarquin.
Tarquin
But
would
but yeah, so
give
like
Reese a run for
then
his money for me. Ugh.
yeah, Tarquin does give Rhysand a run for his money. Like I literally, oh my god. If we cast a Tarquin at some point, like
I can't.
that's going to be such a good casting. Okay, so then it says, when Tamlin comes back to the manor and doesn't find Farah, he guesses what has happened. And for that reason, he starts looking for a way to get her back, as he fears what Rhysand will do to her with his magic, because Rhysand is a Damonti. A very important fact. But yeah, having a horrible reputation for debauchery and torment that he has as well, he later sends Lucian along with his sentries to look for her in the Illyrian mountains, with orders to take her by force if she refuses to return, again thinking Rhysand would be controlling her. When they
Mm-hmm.
return without her, he turns his attention towards aiding the war against Hybern and fake allies himself with the king of Hybern so that he can spy for the courts. The king says that due to Tamlin being his ally, He will break Feyre's bond with Rhysand in exchange for allowing him to use the Spring Court for his army to enter Prythian to destroy the wall with the power with the cauldron. Knowing that
Yes.
he could not stop the King of Hybern regardless, because everything is disheveled, Tamlin
Yes.
allows them at the wall in exchange for Hybern not harming his people and being able to monitor their whereabouts in his court. So this is like a big thing where Lucian finds Feyre and everyone's like, oh, they're still trying to take her by force. And I'm like, at this point, Tamlin and Lucian have every right to believe that Feyre, who is a new High Fae, has no skills of knowing how to combat a Damonti, could very easily be manipulated by Rhysand, who literally, quite literally, can melt people's brains.
And also, all Feyre did was send a letter. The illiterate, unable to read or write,
It's like Sarah
now high
really put
fae.
all the clues there for us to like give this man some grace, to be honest with you.
So again, from last Tamlin knows, Feyre can't read, Feyre can't write, and
Rhysand's a Damonti.
he gets a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, I'm fine.
We're
Don't come
good.
looking
We're
for me.
done. Yeah.
We're done. Don't come looking for me." I'm so sorry.
What?
If I was Tamlin, I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, "Oh my gosh." Also, I'd be like, "Who wrote this?" Because one, has he ever seen her handwriting? Like, I
No.
mean, he has because they were writing poetry and stuff like that. And he turned like her words into poems. You remember that in the book one?
No. How is she
He
writing?
she knows some words. She's not completely illiterate. And she said
Either
like,
way,
she
he could have mind controlled her to write it.
yeah, or that was Reese.
Yeah, I don't think Farrah ever wrote anything.
Someone wrote something at some point. Maybe it was Rhysand, and then he turned her words into a poem.
That could not
Reese or
have been
Tamlin,
Tamlin.
someone.
It's probably Reese. Either
Maybe.
way, a letter was not the move.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a big thing. So I don't Tamlin's already like, yeah, she's definitely mind controlled right now. There's no way, no how that she's not.
Yeah. They stole her.
So
They
they
took
kidnapped
her.
her.
Yeah, they kidnapped
Yeah.
her, obviously. She is
And
completely, and then she also looks and acts completely different to Lucian. So she literally is acting like she's been freaking brainwashed.
yes. And I want to say, and I will die on this hill until the day I die. Tamlin did not cause her sisters to go into the cauldron.
No.
It was Ianthe. It was
Yes.
Ianthe.
Yes.
Ianthe is the reason her sisters went into the cauldron. Just letting you know, Ianthe is the reason Nesta and Elaine went into the cauldron. Fun fact, Ianthe is why Nesta and Elaine went into the cauldron. Fun fact, Tamlin and Lucian were not the reason that Nesta and Elaine went into the cauldron. Fun fact, it was Ianthe was the reason that Nesta and Elaine went into the dang cauldron. And I will die on that hill. It was not Tamlin. It was not Lucian. Tamlin was even like, this has gone too far to the King of Hybern. And
Yeah.
Lucian was even like, nah. And they were lunging for Elaine because, Tamlin and Elaine are mates. But anyway,
I don't know why people think
Ianthe
this. Why
is
do people
the
think this?
reason. Oh, mic drop. Sorry. Had to just
Clip that.
get me
Clip
heated.
that. I just don't understand. Yeah, it's like, why do people think that? Do they not read the same book?
Yeah,
They are
literally.
visibly upset. Like
Visibly upset.
literally, Ianthe did it. They
It's
acknowledge that.
Ianthe.
Farrah acknowledges that
Yep.
in the book.
It's Ianthe who
Ooh.
literally sold out her sisters. Ianthe sold out Feyre's sisters, not Tamlin and Lucian. And gosh, it angers me like, well, he's the reason. And I'm like, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god.
getting off my soapbox here.
No. It's a good
Even though
soapbox
he
to
does
have.
say later, I will say, when at the High Lords meeting, he does say, oh, what a shame to be young and beautiful forever.
Yeah.
I will
I agree with
say,
him. What
okay,
a shame.
but
Well, I would be a high fae in 2.5 seconds. Are you kidding me?
I mean, same,
Boo
but
hoo.
I would like the
I'm sorry.
choice.
I'm
I would like the
sorry.
choice. I would like the
Sure, I would like
choice.
the choice, but like, did Elena get a choice to become a vampire?
No,
Okay, well,
but she got the cure in the. Oh, you haven't.
thanks. It's fine. I already know that spoiler because you spoiled it for me before.
Okay. I was
You've
like,
already spoiled that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Like the thing is like he was being snarky in the High Lords meeting.
yeah.
I fucking I love it. I think it's great. That whole exchange is just spicy and I love the spice. He's bringing the spice. He does, everyone's saying
Not
shit.
that kind of spice, but
Well, no,
like the
people say things they don't
snarky
mean when they're
spice. Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
People when they're mad and he had every single right to be pissed.
Because
Completely
when
pissed.
Feyre goes back,
Oh my god.
my one time I really dislike Feyre is in the beginning of ACOTAR because she
Yes.
called the Spring Court people her people at one point, and she purposefully goes in there and ruins their court, ruins their home, ruins where they're living, and then ruins the bond between Tamlin and Lucian. That's messed up.
Yep. Also, did you remember this detail that the so when a court of wings and ruin, everyone's back at the spring court and Ianthe's there and then Jurian's there and then the niece and nephew and stuff like that.
Mm,
Says
yeah.
that it says that they come with the supposed mission of inspecting the weaknesses in the wall, but later is
Yeah.
revealed that since they arrived, they are poisoning the residents of the manor with Faebane in small
Yes,
doses.
because that's why Feyre can't use all of her powers.
It's great. Like I forgot about that little detail, but I'm just like,
Yes. And they're so powerful, and then that's why she, yeah.
ugh, like his spring court's just continuously getting fucked,
Mm-hmm.
continuously. But yeah, so during her stay, like you were saying, so it says during her stay, she tries to weaken the western border to make it easier for Hybern. She also tries to make Tamlin and Ianthe jealous by being close to Lucian and causing him to lose his faith in Tamlin by goading him into and allowing the latter to hurt her during one of the explosions of magic. Now, this is the one time where, yes,
And she
Tamlin,
purposefully wears her scars
this
around the
is this
town
is wrong on
afterwards.
both sides
Oh, yeah.
because on one hand,
She
Tamlin,
was purposely triggering him.
she did. She was
She's poking the
purposely
bear.
she was poking the freaking beast.
Yeah.
Um does that excuse him doing what he
No.
did? Absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
Completely wrong. Should not
Nope.
ever 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 do that. He should be forever apologetic for that and he needs to really figure that out. But
He needs to sort out his anger
the way that
issues.
she manipulated the situation and then made it so that her
She was the
bruises and
victim.
like she wanted him to do it, and that it makes it harder to feel like like it's that's I don't know. It's like if I was like wanting Eric to like push me down the stairs or something, and then like I'm like goading him into doing it, and I fall down the stairs. He still pushed me. He should never fucking push me. But then it's like, but then I'm happy about the fact that he did because I wanted him to. It's a weird situation.
It's a
I don't
very
know
weird
what to call
situation.
it. But this is the
Flawed
one moment
characters.
where, yeah, this is the one moment where I see that this is the true, like physical abuse, and I do not condone that.
Absolutely. No,
But
not at
but
all. And
the
again,
way
if
that
you're
she
in
goes
that
about it
situation,
makes it so hard to like fully, you
I
know?
mean, in any way, shape, or form, if a man ever put their hands on you or
Absolutely.
me, you get out. That's abuse.
100% no
There's
tolerance.
no tolerance for it whatsoever.
Mhm.
Um, even though she did kind of like, even if you, anyone really, if you go and say you're at a bar and you're
Mm.
purposely provoking someone trying to start a fight and you get clocked in the face, was it okay if they clocked you in the face? No, but you were kind of asking for it.
It's
But
hard.
it's still not okay that they clocked you in the face.
That's still
So,
not okay.
if you're
Yeah.
ever in a situation where you are being physically abused in any way, shape, or form, get out.
Get
Even
out.
if you provoke it, get out because if it happens once, it's going to happen again.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, just putting that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think this is yeah, that's the one thing I really I have no, I
Sympathy.
have yeah, I don't. And I don't. And I think it's completely
None.
wrong and I don't agree with him in this situation whatsoever. It just Farah's whole thing in the spring court is just so icky that it's like
Icky.
it's icky, right?
It's
Um
not it's very I guess disappointing. I loved Feyre's character up until this moment. I was like, Feyre is great. And then this moment happened, and I was like, I am so disappointed. But hear me
Yeah, it's
out.
the Lucian thing for me that really made me lose
Yeah.
respect.
It
That
I
really
don't
was disgusting.
I
'Cause
don't
that's
hate
not
Feyre
fair
though.
to Huh? I don't hate her.
I
I
don't
don't hate
know.
Feyre,
I
but I
still
thought
want
that
I
was a
think
disgusting move on her part
yeah.
to try to destroy Tamlin and Lucian's friendship and to get to have to not just do it on her own, but now she's dragging Lucian into this. He doesn't
Yeah,
deserve
because Lucian's
that.
like an orphan essentially.
Lucian doesn't deserve that.
No,
And
Lucian's great.
yeah, and I thought that that was really
But
shitty
she's
of
also
her.
like 19, 20 maybe now. Maybe 19, 20 years old. So she's
So, yeah,
young.
that's fine, but
She's,
I wasn't doing that at
she's
20. Come on.
I mean, no, no, we weren't. But
Also, this is
she's
back in the
her
day. I feel like
emotions,
people
her
they
emotions were
died
heightened
soon.
and they were running high. So again, not condoning it, but just understanding
Again,
why,
like, yeah,
she was
understand, but yeah, I don't condone that. Just like I don't condone what Tamlin did with the explosion of
yep.
anger that ended up hurting her. I don't condone Farah's actions in the spring court. I don't
Mhm.
like that she is being Amarantha-y with Lucian.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it. And Ianthe-y with Lucian. Like, purposely, coming with her nightgown, like, oh, and then like hugging him and like the night, like, not cool.
No.
Not cool. Like, it's really fucked up. And I think in the show, it'll give people the ick. They're gonna be like, oh, because we've seen that type of scene play out in other. We never like the person who's doing that. We
No.
never like the person who's trying to do that. So anyway,
Yeah. Anyway.
so let's see. So yeah, so she's doing all of that. Um, he has the blow up, and she makes so then she sows discord among the residents of the manor, especially the sentries, by showing them that Tamlin will always side with Ianthe, still not knowing he's a spy and has no choice but to play along. Farah has entered Ianthe's mind and goaded, so because Farah has Timonti powers, Farah has entered Ianthe's mind and goaded her into her nefarious plan to frame a sentry for falling asleep and losing a key that Ianthe gave monsters to play a hero. Ultimately, the sentry is lashed for the indiscretion. You remember that?
Forgot about that. Yeah. Gosh, I fucking hate
Yeah. So like trying to like sow the discord and like be like, oh, look how cruel he is. Like
Ianthe.
the
Mhm.
sentry got lashed. Later, through her Demonti powers, Farah implants in Ianthe's mind the idea that after killing the niece and nephew, she had to flee because Tamlin did nothing to stop them from trying to kill her. She told Ianthe to tell everyone who would listen that she and Tamlin would, um, or that she and Tamlin allowed her to be harmed. The news spread through the court, and an internal rebellion takes place that gives way to the forces of Hybern having no resistance when it comes to invading them.
And that just really messed up the whole entire situation.
Yeah,
Like that alone. Like, what are you doing?
yeah,
Why? That you are going against Highburn. Like, there is such a bigger picture at play. You just lost a whole dang court.
yep.
Even if,
Weakened all their
even,
stuff.
even, I mean, I can
And
understand.
Tamlin in this moment loses Lucian and then the rest of anything he had.
Well, I can understand thinking, like, okay, if the Spring Court is allied with Highburn, maybe we take out the Spring Court so then Highburn doesn't have the Spring Court. I can understand that.
But it
I
gave
haven't really
them
thought of it.
access to the wall.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
I think also it says here uh it also affected the summer court somehow. I think I read. Like the summer court was vulnerable to
Hmm.
invasion as well because of
Oh
the
yeah, because they
weekend
married up to
western.
the Spring Court.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because of the weekend borders, it like put
yeah.
them at a huge vulnerability. Um but yeah, so then we have Tamlin at the High Lords meeting, and everyone loves the "Be careful how you speak about my High Lady."
Lady.
I mean, it's a lovely line, but you know, again, I'm here for the drama. I love the spice. I love the
And then
sass. It
the
was
whole
really
idea,
fun.
though,
But
yeah.
yes, there are lines in there that yes, Tamlin should not have said. He said them out
Yeah.
of anger. But
We all
again,
say things out of
look what
anger.
Feyre did out of anger. She destroyed
Destroyed
a whole
court.
court. So,
and the people of the court.
yeah,
Like
and after
literally, they
all of
have
that,
no
Tamlin
homes
still gave all of the plans. He gave all the intel. He revealed that he was
and
a secret spy.
helped save Elaine
Well,
later on,
yep, yes,
and
he,
Feyre and
yes,
Lucian,
yes,
and helped save them. So
yes. So
I
many
just
things.
think so he
Because
helped
he's not
save
a
them.
bad person. He really is. He was not with
And
Hybern.
then
And
because this is
then
becoming a very long episode, we get
it's always a lot
iconic
of
line, "Be happy, Feyre." When
ugh,
Rhysand
all the
dies,
way to
and
Akawar.
all the way to we're in Aquar right now. But the end of ACOTAR, when Rhysand, page 666, gives himself to the cauldron completely to heal the cauldron, and Feyre has all the High Lords giving their power to help save him.
He also
Tamlin
convinces Baron, drags him by his neck to
neck,
come.
yeah, to help aid in the war. Eris literally says, "Yeah, Tamlin dragged my dad
He
out here
did
by his
something.
neck."
He convinced someone.
Yeah,
Good job,
Baron.
buddy.
So essentially, Baron's worse than Tamlin. Okay, thank you very much. I
Baron
think
is
we can
way
all
worse.
agree on that. We can all agree that Baron is so
Can
much
we
worse
all
than
agree on
Tamlin.
Baron's being worse than Tamlin?
I
I
think we
hope
can agree
so.
that Baron is worse than Tamlin. But anyway, so we have the iconic line that he goes and looks at Feyre to give a last bit of his magic, or not the last, but a drop of his magic to save Rhysand, and says, "Be happy, Feyre," because I imagine this man, the amount of guilt he probably feels, because he's probably beating himself internally, beating himself up, going, "I'm a failure as a High Lord. I failed at protecting my mom. I failed at protecting my court. I failed at this, and just continuously thinking
My
he's a failure.
friendship
He's
with
lost control,
Lucian,
so many things. And
my
he probably,
relationship.
absolutely. And, when we do touch on Tamlin back in, I think it's when A Court of Frost and Starlight, yeah, we realize that Tamlin's literally in the Spring Court in beast form. He
Yeah.
is not
He's
in a
in
good
his manor
space.
in ruins. He lives alone since his servants have left him. His subjects still believe everything Farah has made them believe during her previous stay. Lucian goes to visit him a few times out of pity, but stops doing so at Tamlin's request after Rhysand visits him and is brutal, aggressive, and um, uh, I think I don't know how to say words. Yeah, but
And
anyway,
like Reese has
very
to use
Reese
his
is
magic
not
to,
very nice to him at all. And
no.
Tamlin is practically dead in life, does not even bother to protect his territory from foreign invasions. He knows that Baron covets the mortal land south of Prithian, but has no sentries to guard his borders. He refuses to let Rhysand lead his Illyrians into his territory, but agrees to summer court soldiers by Tarquin helping out. He says he is sorry for everything he's put Farah through, and when he asks Rhysand if she will forgive him, he tells him that he's not the one to answer that question. He
Yeah.
tearfully asks Rhys if he will ever forgive him for his mother and sister, and the conversation only leads to more aggression. Rhys ultimately tells him that he does not deserve thanks for resurrecting him or for saving his family at the Hybern camp. He continues on to say that he should rot there and that he deserves to be miserable before winnowing away. And that reading that in Frost and Starlight really sucked because I was like, wow, Reese, kicking.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Kicking someone when they're already so down, I can't. Even the people like I don't like most in this world,
I
I
couldn't
can't
do
see
it.
myself kicking them when they're down like that. When they're down like that, when they're
Mm-hmm.
like sad and they're tearfully and they're like sorrowful and you can clearly see I'm like I couldn't do that. And so I think that
No.
this is like that thing of Rhysand where this is what Nesta sees. This is what
Yeah.
some other people see. And I still love him. I do. But that is not a good moment and not a good look for him. And it makes me
Sarah
really
J. Maas does a
sad.
really good job at writing characters that are so multi-layered, multifaceted, and deep.
I mean, do
They're
you feel
not
like that
just
was wrong
two
of him to
dimensional.
kind of kick him when he was down like
Absolutely.
that?
Yeah.
And like
You
to
can
not
say
even thank
like,
him, like you don't deserve thanks for saving my life. Seriously? For what? Like he saved Farah and Elaine. He saved his mate's life, got him out of the camp
mm-hmm.
and Elaine. He doesn't deserve thanks for that? Why?
Because
You
Reese is
know?
incredibly thankful to Nesta for saving Feyre and Nyx's life. Why wouldn't he not be thankful to save? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't agree with that. I think it's really sad.
it's so sad.
Yeah, and then we see
So,
in
so,
Silver
so
Flames that
sad.
he's still a beast. So,
Hmm. Which is still sad. And hopefully there is someone named Elaine Archeron to help get him out of it.
gosh, it's really, yeah,
Tamlin is a very tragic story and a very tragic character.
he
If
is.
you really want to get into it, it's quite literally so sad
It's like
what he goes through.
Shakespearean. Poor baby. I
Yeah.
just, I just want him to have his. I just feel in my bones. I don't know if she'll ever write it, but I feel like Sarah set so many things up for him to where there's such a bigger story at play. There's such a chapter 54 for him at play. And like you've said before, like I would just love to read Akamath from Tamlin's perspective. Like I think
That
that
would
that would be
be
amazing, and I think
just to see his brain and what's going on.
yeah, I think that he's a
Yeah.
troubled human. I feel so bad for him. I just want him to be happy, and he's just had so much tragedy in his life.
Hmm.
So
Unfortunately,
much many mistakes, so much defeat. And if we can get
he
a
needs
Nesta
therapy.
redemption, but if we can get a
Oh, we can.
Nesta redemption book,
Yeah.
this man deserves it.
Hmm.
I think. I think he deserves redemption. I think he deserves happy ever after.
It's gonna be like we're gonna be like in our 50s, and one day Sarah J. Maas is gonna announce like, you know how Stephanie Meyer did like Midnight Sun, which was
Yeah.
like Twilight and Edward's point of view. It's gonna be, you know, a court of something and something, Tamlin's point of view, and Valerie is going to be with her grandbaby on her lap.
So we're hopping back on we're bringing it back. We're bringing the podcast back at that point. If it's already, if
Yep.
it's gone at that point when we're 50, we're bringing it back and we're doing another episode. But,
Valerie's like,
any,
wait, what's the Titanic thing? It's like, it's been 84 years
yeah.
and I can still
Yeah.
smell the china. And that's going to be Valerie.
Oh my God. I just, yeah, I feel like he's so multifaceted. He's so fun. I get like, and I do like to do my little cosplay of him, and like he's fun to be and make fun of, and to be, I'm just Ken, and all these things that
Yeah.
he is. And I think a lot of women look at Tamlin, like you've said before, as like their bad ex-boyfriend. And I think they throw a lot of things and project a lot of things onto this character for them. But from a male perspective, like you have to think of it like how we felt about looking at Nesta and Nesta's growth. We don't care about Tamlin's growth because, we're not trying to relate to a man because we're women. But if a
Hmm.
man was reading this, he's a flawed character, and he has, seeing his growth, I think would be really powerful for men who have been in situations where they have had these traumas and abusive families, and, have
Learning how
control
to show
issues.
emotion
Like literally learning how to control their feelings, show their feelings, and communicate those feelings in a healthy way
appropriately.
would be
Yes.
so powerful. And I know
Yeah.
mostly women read these books, but just think about how powerful that would be for men to have a character like Tamlin to read about and like grow with, because Nesta
Hmm.
resonated with so many of us, so many people who were Nestas and who got out of being Nestas, or people who dealt with Nestas and saw their growth, like just so many things, right? So
Hmm.
he's just the male, Nesta
The
here,
male
not
Nesta.
I mean, in a way of like he can be a redemption story for men, as
Hmm.
Nesta was a redemption story for women.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Do you have
I
any other
think
like
that's
real?
it. I
I know. Do you have
think
any other like really hard hitting, powerful thoughts about Tamlin?
not really. I think we touched on most of them. I feel like I talked a heck of a lot more in this episode than I normally do.
I love it. I love it. I feel like again we love Rhysand, but we do not
We are
hate
Team
Tamlin.
Rhysand.
Team Rhysand, but we don't hate Tamlin, and I think
We want his redemption.
I do want it, and I think honestly, the day that that book comes out, where it shows that Elaine is Tamlin's mate, mm, Taylor, like I can't even imagine that day. Like, reading
Valerie's
that
gonna be
line,
sobbing.
I'm gonna
I'm
literally
gonna read
call
it
you
ahead of you, so then I can be like, Valerie, record your
record
reaction to
my
this chapter.
reaction.
Valerie, record your reaction to this chapter. Valerie, because Valerie's gonna just keel over. She's not
I
gonna
feel like
be
you'll
no
be
good
really
to.
happy about it too, though. I feel like you'll be freaking out too.
I'll be happy about it, but you'll be crying. I'll be like, oh, I love
You'll be like,
love.
oh my God, yes, we were right. We were right. The
Yeah,
crack ship couch theory was right.
we're not crazy.
Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen.
Ianthe's the cauldron person, not Tamlin. I can't. Oh my God. I'm so glad that we redid this episode though.
Same.
I
Yeah.
hope that you guys take away this episode not thinking that, we support abusive relationships and that
No.
not that we support people being shitty. We support redemption, growth, grace, and happily ever
A
after
lot of
happily ever
therapy, but they don't
afters for
have
people
that.
who do the work. Yeah. And
Yes.
hope. We want hopeful stories for people who are struggling out there, people who are Tamlins, people who are Nestas, to be able to show that they can be better and they can grow and they can change and they can do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Tamlin right now is in a deep state of depression. He's really,
Yeah.
really deep into it. And he's gotta come out of it somehow, right? And I think his story could be so redeeming of like the people who are so deep in despair and depression, like how you get out of that, how you can pull
Mm-hmm.
yourself out of that. I think that would be an amazing story.
Amazing. It would be so good. But Sarah, if you're listening, book 6?
Book 6? Yeah.
Book 6?
ACOTAR book
I
6?
don't know.
Everyone
Maybe?
says it's book
Maybe?
5 because they said Frost and Starlight doesn't count, but
Okay, well, that's fair. Book the next.
the next ACOTAR book.
Don't care what it is.
All right, well, like
So,
we want to know what you guys think about Tamlin. Please be kind and respectful in the comments section. I know that this is a controversial topic for a lot of people.
very controversial.
And we do respect everyone's thoughts and opinions as long as
Absolutely.
they are respectful
Respectful right back.
and thoughtful, and we will be respectful back. And we have no problems, debating or like debates in the
Just having a
comments
little
about this.
chat.
Yeah,
Yeah, like having a chat.
we just don't want a lot of hate and negativity.
Yep.
So just be kind and give grace to
If you
everyone
don't have
and
anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But you're
yes.
more than welcome to have a different opinion as
And
long as you
share
word
your
it appropriately.
experience too.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
why share your experiences if you've ever experienced someone like Tamlin,
Yeah.
or if you've ever been a Tamlin and you've gotten out of it. We want to hear about that too. So just a reminder to everybody that we are currently still crowdfunding for our Wingspan Matters campaign for our Bad Boy wings, because we love our bad boys. We love Rhysand. And we want their wingspans to be amazing for the film. And also,
Hmm.
you guys can also check out our merch, and every piece that you buy over there is going straight into the fan film as well. And you
Yes.
can follow us everywhere at Whimsy Gossip on all the platforms, on TikTok
On Instagram
and YouTube.
and not Facebook yet, but Spotify. One day I will get on this Facebook thing, guys. I promise.
One
But
day.
right now, Spotify.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's all there is to be said. And you have anything to say?
Oh gosh.
He
I
he
thought you were
doesn't have
talking to
any
me.
he doesn't have anything to say. He just says thanks for hearing me out, and he says, Sarah, please give me a redemption. I agree.
Oh my gosh.
I agree.
Valerie's pointed to Tamlin. That's been her backdrop this
I'm sitting in
entire
his lap.
episode. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful night.
Yes.
We'll catch you next week for another episode of
Well,
Whimsy
no, this is
Gossip.
actually our season finale. I forgot about that.
Oh, we're filming another episode tomorrow. So that's why I'm thrown off. We will catch you next season.
Oh my God, we have to
for
actually talk
season
about that real
4.
quick. This is our season finale.
Oh man.
Season 4. Oh my God, are we
Of
all really going to
Whimsy
be
Gossip.
What?
That's insane.
That's insane. It's been
All
a year.
What, like 20,000 of you or something that have listened? Like that's
A lot, yeah.
insane.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't believe that.
Listen to us. 20,000.
So, just quick note,
Follow?
since this is a season finale, which congratulations on the season finale. We did it. Woohoo.
I can't believe it. We are on season 3. So wow, season 3. Wait, we started season 3
in
right after
January.
the fan film dropped.
I
Like
know.
that. Oh my
I
gosh.
know. So I
I'm
am
emotional.
going to be on maternity leave for a little bit, so we'll be taking a break, but we'll let you guys know when we're coming back. Follow us on all of our social medias and accounts, and they will be
We
posting
might
there.
sneak in a little episode here and there for
Yeah.
funsies.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. I have no idea how this whole becoming a mom thing is going to work out, when I'm going to be up to filming again, when the baby's going to let me film again. So stay tuned. But yeah, we'll be taking, probably, at least a month and a half off, and
At least.
maybe two. We'll see. We might be back in July. We'll see. End of June. I don't know.
But we're still going to be creating content on
Yes.
our page, and we are going to be actually getting you guys more involved, especially our subscribers, with all of our prep for ACOTAR chapter 69 and 70. So we are going to
Yeah.
have more involvement coming that way with costuming, and
My God, season
the
4 is going to lead us all the
cast
way
is going to be
to filming.
filming.
Oh my
Oh my
God. Oh my
God.
God. And then we'll have all of our actors like on as guests and stuff. It'll be so much fun. There's so much excitement coming down the line. I'm
So
so
much.
excited for
Okay.
season 4 and 5 and
Wow.
forever. But yeah, hopefully you guys understand that we got to take a little break during this time. But
Val's going to be a mama.
oh my God,
So
next
everyone
time
in
you
the
guys
comments,
see me on this podcast, I will have a baby.
that's insane.
Tay,
That's insane.
a little Illyrian warrior.
Lily Green Warrior. All right, everyone, wish Val all the good luck for motherhood
Oh my
and the
God.
birth and all that in the comments. Give her all the luck in the world and some advice, even. Anyone, you drop some advice down below. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. So,
Yes. All right. Well, congratulations on a successful season 3. I love you
full. Oh
so
my gosh, and
dang
season 4 coming out.
much.
I love you too. I can't believe it. This is insane.
I know, I
Ah!
don't have words.
Ah!
All right. Well, this was a great season
Finale
ender
episode.
and season finale episode, and it's also a commemoration of our 1 year of being out as a podcast in
Yep.
this space, and this audio was
We
way
love you
better.
guys.
We love you guys
We
so much.
love
Thank
you
you for the
guys so
support.
much.
Thank you for the
1 year
support.
of whimsy gossip, and truly, we could not be more grateful. Seriously,
Oh my God.
so grateful.
I know, I can't believe it's like there's like between all the platforms, gosh, there's like 90,000 of you or something, 80,000 of you. It's insane.
That's
I can't believe that we
insane.
went from 26 followers last year to where we are today, and I can't wait to see where
Yeah,
we are a year from now.
crazy. So, anyway, we love
Okay,
you
well,
guys
we got to
so
get to
much.
bed because it's pretty
Yeah,
late, but I love you,
it's,
Tay,
yeah.
and we will
Love
catch
you,
you guys
Val.
next season and all in our social medias.
Okay. All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.